Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome for the analyst and investor for post-results discussion for quarter one financial year 2021-22 of Arvind Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Samir Agarwal. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you, and thanks for participating in this call to discuss our results of Arvind Limited for the first quarter of FY22. Joining me today is Mr. Jayesh Shah, our Executive Director on the board and Group CFO. This quarter was marked by a strong set of headwinds which our businesses had to weather. And I'm very happy to say that we delivered a relatively strong performance in that backdrop. So there were four sets of challenges which were kind of faced by the businesses. First is related to the lockdowns. So the garment factories, especially in the southern India, including our own factories, were closed down for a large part of this quarter, which led to the loss of business volume as well as pile up of textile and garment inventories. Factories which were open, including those in Ahmedabad area for us, faced significant absenteeism as wave 2 impacted our employees and their families. Overall sentiments remained subdued in April and May in terms of domestic market, which led to the deferment of buying by domestic buyers, both at the retail level as well as the wholesale level. So this closure and reduced offtake in the domestic business drove higher inventory levels, which reflects in our working capital as well. The exports business did well, but they faced continuing challenge around logistics availability and high freight costs. Overall, all input costs, including fuel, packaging, and freight charges, of course, including cotton and yarn as well, continued to put a lot of pressure on our bottom line. On the other side, in terms of positives, what we see is that the bounce back in June has been quite assuring, and July continued the positive sentiment at the retail level. We have also started seeing initial traction on the revival of wholesale buying from our large domestic customers. Export demand remained strong throughout the quarter. All our US customers reported strong growth in quarters ending May or June, and have upped their guidance for the rest of the year. So if you see their commentaries, they're quite positive as well. European brands and retailers have also started coming out with positive commentaries around the outlook. So our export businesses continue to remain strong, and that's a really positive driver for us. Further, our businesses have made strong progress on efficiency gains and cost management, which has helped blunt some of the impact of the input cost increases. In order to offset the impact, we also have secured price increases in most segments we operate in. Finally, as a result of debt reduction, which we have achieved during the last year, the interest outgo has been lower for us. So as a result of all these factors which I just described, we delivered a relatively strong performance in the Q1 of this quarter compared to the Q1 of last year, which of course is a very impacted quarter. So in some sense, it's not a usual comparison. But just to share the numbers, the overall revenue stood at rupees 1439 crores, which was 140% higher than 599 crores in the Q1 of last year. Overall EBITDA margin stood at 7.2% positive as against negative 4.8% last year in this quarter. Helped with the lower borrowing cost, we achieved break even at the PBT level this quarter. During the quarter, the company booked ROSTL income of 13 crore from of Q4 from the 13 crore for the Q4 of the previous year. And similarly, it paid about 14 crores as a one-time reward for the employees who had been with us, and there were a lot of impact and hardships. The RODTAP rates for fabrics have not been announced, and hence we did not book any income on this account. Textile revenue stood at rupees 1176 crores for the quarter, which was 170% higher than last year. Fabric monthly volumes reflect the bounce back which we are seeing, especially in June. So just to give you some numbers, denim dispatched 6 million meters each in April and May, and 8 million meters in June, And this, compared to last year of Q4, if you see, we did about 6.7 million meters per month in each of the months of Q4 on an average, right? So compared to that, we did 6, 6, and 8. On the woven side, the monthly dispatches stood at 8.3 million, 5.4 million, and 9.3 million meters. Again, our average last year on the Q4 was 9.3 million meters. So what we are saying is we are seeing a revert to the volumes which we saw earlier by June. Export demand stayed robust throughout the quarter, specifically for denim, which exported almost 15 million meters during the quarter after a gap of 3 years. So this was a very good performance on denim export side, especially. Garment volume stood at 6.8 million pieces for the quarter, which was 83% higher than the last year Q1 number of 3.7 million pieces. Apart from the volume recovery, the price realizations remained quite healthy at rupees 202 per meter for denim and 159 per meter for woven, respectively. Input cost pressures continued as cotton prices continued to go sky high. I mean, just as a reference, Shankar 6 is almost trading at 56,000 rupees per candy upwards on ex-gin level. As mentioned, other input costs like dyes, chemicals, packing materials and all also remain quite high. What helped us is a fairly tight operating discipline, which gave us an EBITDA margin of 8.9% for textiles as compared to 7.9% in the last year of Q1. Our advanced materials business continues to be robust. It delivered a top line of rupees 193 crores, which was higher by 81% over of rupees 106 crores last year. And the EBITDA margin in this business stood at 13 crores. So this business continues to do very well for us. It has not been impacted by any of the consumer market challenges which we have seen in the other businesses. During this quarter, our net borrowings increased from rupees 1950 crores at the end of March to rupees 2141 crores, which was in line with our guidance. We believe it's a temporary increase caused by higher levels of gross working capital. And this was caused, like I explained earlier, because of the slowdown in April and May that has resulted in higher inventory, as explained earlier. And so, looking ahead in Q2, we expect domestic demand to pick up as markets reopen and apparel brand, the domestic brand, resume ordering. Export demand should continue to be strong across most markets. In fact, Europe, which was slightly more guarded, is trying to kind of up the buying. On the supply side, reopening of garmenting factories should help us increase the volumes. If normalcy returns and continues, we expect denim and woven volumes to reach 24 million meters and 30 million meters, and garment volumes to reach 9 million pieces. On the policy front, ROSTL for garments has been announced, but for fabric is still awaited. Due to continuing increase in input costs, the margins will get impacted in percentage terms as well in short term, in rupee terms due to lag effect in passing on the cost push. As we had mentioned during our earlier meeting, directionally, we will continue to focus on deleveraging. Our debt levels, which went up in Q1, will start showing a downward trend. And we expect that we will come to near March FY21 levels of 1950 crores by end of Q2. Just as a quick, there was a typo in the review note. So it was written as March 20, it's March 21. So now I invite you to ask any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Sorry, sir. Shall we start taking questions, sir?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone phone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. First question is from the line of Sudhir B from Right Time Consultant Services. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir, and good to see that your volume is, recovering from the month of June. Sir, my question is, I have just analyzed your 2-3 quarters, and it is seen that your gross margin is around 51 kind of thing, 50-51%. So, is it fair fair to that your break-even level of sales is around 1,300, 1,400, and anything above that would go into 50% would go into the gross margin for us. Is it a right understanding, sir?
No. I think our contribution level is not, I think one should look at not the gross margin, but the contribution level. And the contribution levels are in the range of about 29% as a company. So any incremental sale beyond the break-even sales would contribute 28 to 29% towards the profit.
So what would be our break-even sale? Is around 1,350, 1,400 kind of thing?
At what level are you looking at break-even? EBITDA level?
Yeah. PBT level, in fact.
Oh, PBT level. So PBT level, as you saw this quarter, it was 1,400 crore and we almost broke even. So that would be the level.
That would be the level. And how do you see that as an industry as a whole, there is a lot of buzz around the textile. So how do you see that, particularly in the export market? How do you see that sector performing, particularly garments and woven, in the international market in view of China factor and also, opening of the economy over there?
Yeah, so, as you rightly said, there are two reasons. One is that, of course, globally, because most of the brands and retailers did not have much inventory. So when the markets opened up, the demand for products suddenly shot up, and that resulted into kind of in fact, shortage of products in the textile industry. That has led to a sharp increase in demand across the board. Of course, second is the China factor, as you said, that there are certain customers who are opting to rebalance their portfolio of purchase, and that is helping to some extent India as well. So to answer your question, yes, the export markets are looking good. One caution, of course, is that currently there is a high amount of quantitative easing all across. So as and when it tapers off a little bit, we have to see how the markets react, particularly in the US. However, the good thing is that Europe is just about to start buying, so that will be a positive factor and would balance out some of the reductions, if at all there is one, in the US market.
Great. And so the last question, what is the sales growth you are seeing for the next 3 quarters? When we did around 5,200 crores.
Right now, in absence of, because of the uncertainties, we are not giving a yearly guidance. Also, please keep in mind that the sales is going to go up very sharply because of the inflation on prices and the cost. And so that will not be a correct, way to look at the performance. I think if you look at the volume growth, which is what my colleague spoke about, I think we are looking at a reasonably high volume in Q2, both in denim and our mainline products, denim and wovens. And our advanced material division continues to remain strong and continue to grow at 20-25%.
Oh, great, sir. Thanks for the opportunity and all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nihal Jham from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much and good evening to the management. So, 3 questions from my side.
Yes.
First, on the margins, if I notice, it's not as if the gross margin has gone down so significantly, but our other expenses are more or less constant from Q4. So is it right, as you said in your opening remark, that if I bifurcate that the impact of the freight cost and these other components is much higher on the margins versus, say, the cotton price hike, is that a right reading, first of all?
So 2 things. One is that, the fixed cost, because unlike in the earlier period, right, this time after having reduced the fixed cost, we haven't done any cuts in the fixed cost. Even though the plants were not operating, unlike in the past where we had, reduced salaries and all of that. So the fixed costs are, at a lower level, but remaining now constant. The Q1 impact, is that because when you operate plants in a suboptimal manner, there are a lot of hidden, semi-variable costs which hit you. And that is why it will not give you any kind of a very clear indication of what's happening on the margin front. So, what the way we would look at it is on the days when the plant ran full, like in the month of June, we were in a reasonably good shape as far as margins are concerned or EBITDAs are concerned or contributions are concerned. But April and May would give you a very, very awkward, because some days the absenteeism will be 15%, some parts of machines will not work, some will work and all of that. So, however, on margin front going forward, there is, as I was just mentioning in the earlier question, there is a very sharp cost increase which has happened in the month of April, May and June, and we have 3-4 months of lag because we have orders for 3-4 months at any point in time. So as we keep on, taking new orders, we keep on changing price for taking care of the inputs. Since the price rise is very high, the rupee margin as well will also take a few months before it goes back to where it was in Q4. But the percentage margin will continue to remain low if the prices remain elevated. Because, you will see on these volumes around 7-8% increase coming out in the Q2 only on the price front. Because our prices are going up fairly fast in Q2. So margins are likely to get stabilized in unit terms sometime in September if the cost push doesn't keep going up, and in percentage terms will remain lower purely because the price increase is not going to give us extra rupee profits.
Understood. Just on the unit terms, but we've managed to keep our contribution per unit constant to factor in for all the inflation that is currently happening?
No, not in Q1. It is just at the gross level you are seeing possibly. But I think if you look at the contribution level, we were lower in Q1.
Understood.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next part, as I noticed that the woven segment has seen obviously quite a strong improvement, especially on the export side, whereas garmenting, which naturally has a much higher proportion of exports, maybe was not able to see that improvement.
Nehal, in Q1?
Yes, in Q1 only, I was saying.
Out of 90 days of Q1, 45 days, the factories in Bangalore were shut, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in this time, what happened was that the Karnataka, where most of our garment factories are situated, had, allowed most industries to function, but singled out garment industry because it is a very high, the number of people who work in a small factory are very high. And they didn't want that chance, so they had specifically prohibited garment factories to operate for almost 45 days.
Understood. The last question from my side was that you've given this disclosure, but just to have a better sense in the future that what proportion of our revenues are eligible for ROHCTL and what proportion of the revenues are eligible for RoDTEP?
Proportion I don't know. Maybe in some time my colleague will do some number crunching and come back in next 10-15 minutes. Vinay, can you please help us with this?
Yeah. So Jayesh bhai, we can approximately consider 50%.
No, Vinay. We'll have to say how much is exports, and of that, how much is garments, and how much is road tax. So
Yeah.
that we
So of our total sales, our exports are close to 54%,
right.
and it is equally divided between garments and fabric.
Okay.
I got that partially. I'll take this offline also.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sagar Parekh from One Up Finance. Please go ahead.
Hi Jayesh bhai. Thank you for taking my question. So firstly, did I hear it right? You said 7 to 8% is the price increase in Q2 due to the input price going up. Is that the right way for across products?
Yes.
Okay, so that is over quarter one. I mean over Q1 FY22, right?
So absolutely, it will not be like on 30th June to 1st July, Sagar.
Okay.
I'm just giving you an indication. Like for example, we are taking a 4-5% increase in certain products starting 15th of August. Some price increases happened. So it is. I'm saying at the exit you may see that number. You may not see it on 1st July as a number.
Okay, so this contribution level of overall of about 26.8% for quarter one, as you said that, despite the price increases, the percentage might remain lower. So this would be 26-27% would be a sustainable number going forward?
Q2 should be, yes. It should be. If the price, if the prices remain elevated but remain steady,
right.
This percentage is hold. But if the cost keeps rising, we will continue to have that lag effect for a few months.
Correct. But if the prices cool off, then this contribution level then keeps going up.
In fact, in percentage term, when if prices were to come down, our percentage margin should ideally improve because you are calculating in percentages. So,
right.
If my cost goes up by 10 rupees a unit, and if I increase price by 10 rupees, the percentages will drop.
Yeah, understand.
And vice versa would also be true. So.
Okay, and secondly on this Ethiopia, last year we saw, losses continuing in FY21 also. So in quarter one, how has Ethiopia been?
Ethiopia has been marginally profitable, though they were also affected, but it has turned profitable since Q or H2 of last year.
Correct. So Q1 would be still profitable at EBITDA level or PBT level?
No, it is not at a PBT level. It was profitable at EBITDA level. Some of the profits are also getting booked in our Dubai company because of the way the trading arrangements are.
Okay.
Purely from an MIS perspective, if I were to look at it, Ethiopia operation is profitable.
Okay, so has that also got impacted during the quarter due to some local level lockdowns over there, or
Yes, it was across the board. Also, there is a challenge also. Q1 challenges are also in form of availability of containers across. So, even in India and in other parts, we were not able to, ship goods in time. That was another challenge that we faced. Also, at Bangladesh border was a big challenge because, goods were not moving because of several restrictions. I think all of that has eased out in June and July, so it should be okay now.
So how should we look at Ethiopia numbers, Ethiopia plus Dubai, if I have to take it for FY22?
If you want to look at it, we don't give division or a unit-wise numbers.
The reason why I'm asking is because we, last 2-3 years we have been showing a reasonable amount of losses from that business. So if that turns profitable, that can significantly add to our consolidated EBITDA.
Overall, we are looking at total business and not unit, because there are a lot of units within the company which are doing not so well and doing extremely well. So
Right.
I think one will have to, even within denim or in wovens, there are certain products which don't do well, Sagar. So
Right.
I think the way to look at it will be the whole business and not a particular division or a line of a product. And overall garment is shaping up, and thanks to ROSTL, it should continue to do well as we increase our throughput and take it back to the normalcy in terms of capacity utilization.
Okay, understood. And on this other segment, I understand that it's a very small part of our business, but still it is, every quarter it's showing losses.
It's not, it has businesses which are all AMC driven businesses. There is a lot of annual maintenance business we do across most of the businesses which are part of others. And those businesses were the worst in terms of, in the COVID period. So we had to kind of have zero revenue in those businesses with fixed costs remaining high. It is turned, and it is not so in July onwards. So you will not see such challenges July onwards.
So others will become profitable from Q2 onwards?
It will
At
be
EBIT or EBITDA level?
marginally profitable or marginally loss, but it will not be a size. It is because of the challenge of that service sector that we are in.
Okay.
That affects us. Yes.
And any color on or any thoughts on this, the real estate monetization that we had embarked upon last year?
I told in the last, conference call that we are likely to realize about 150 crores.
Correct. Yeah.
We started to get that money, and we are hopeful that at least that amount will come during the year.
Okay. And on deleveraging part, how much should we expect total deleveraging for the year, and what would be the capex number for FY22?
So capex I can tell you because that's in our hand. Deleveraging will depend upon how the market and the COVID uncertainties play out. So directionally, deleveraging will happen. But capex number I can tell you will not exceed about 100 crores during the year.
Okay, so similar to last year's level. So if we do about 800-850 crores of operating profit this year, then with the 150 crores additional coming in from land sale, then we can safely assume about 400-500 crores of deleveraging this year?
Numbers are with you. I won't comment on EBITDA or anything, Sagar.
Okay, no
because
problem.
it is very uncertain. I would love to give a guidance, but
Right.
there are challenges which are absolutely beyond us for us to be able to give you a number.
Okay, Jayesh bhai. Thank you so much for answering all the questions. All the best.
Thank you, Sagar.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ketaki Jain from Canara Life. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. My question is with regard to the ramp up. So should we, given the July has been very favorable, we have highlighted in the presentation, textile division, can we expect a turnover kind of 1,500 crores kind of turnover next quarter, sir?
Which division?
Textile division. Can we expect 1,500 crores next quarter, given the July ramp up we have shown in the presentation?
Again, I want to, highlight one sector. You can expect that kind of a number or even slightly higher turnover, but it is also some portion. I wouldn't call it a large portion, but some portion is because we have a very high level of price increase,
Okay.
which will affect the overall sales, or rather the sales will get inflated to the extent. But in short, answer to your question, yes, it is possible for us to have that kind of turnover in this quarter if everything remains normal and there is no lockdown.
Sure, sir. Sir, then my question is with regard to our subsidiaries. So last year we had shown in the annual report 14 crore loss in the Westech Canada and 52 crores kind of loss in the Arvind Smart Textile. So how you expect in these subsidiaries performances?
So we do not look at individual company performance, as I just mentioned. The overall, the Smart Textile is a company which is running some of the garment plants, and garment plants were one of the worst affected plants in the last year. This year, as we said, that it is coming to normalcy, and we are hoping that the business will, garment per se business will turn profitable.
Okay. So any incremental cost reduction initiatives we are trying to improve cost structure, sir?
So it's a continuous exercise, but nothing very drastic or significant, as we implemented a very large cost rationalization program last year. So, but it is always a continuous exercise.
Sure, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prerna Jhunjhunwala from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, I wanted to understand your geographical exposure of sales with respect to US, Europe, and other countries.
So 46% Prerna is India. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's easy.
That's easier.
Within 54%, I would consider almost 2/3 of that would be US, and about 20% will be Europe, and balance will be rest of the world.
Okay. And sir, given there is no lockdown, what kind of garment volumes now we can see for the entire year? I think I missed that commentary if you've given it earlier.
So, if I were to, say there is no lockdown, then of course Q2 will be a little slower to start because the ramp up is happening in July, but August, September should get to normalcy. So with that, we are expecting, to reach a run rate of 12 million or so per quarter in H2.
12 million per quarter. Okay. So, sir, also wanted to understand from China Plus One perspective on this garmenting thing, how is the demand per se from?
From our side, we have a very limited capacity, and for us to fill that capacity is not at all difficult, because garment for us is an extra added layer over our main business, which is fabric business. And so if we are selling, say, 10 million meters of denim to one customer, we do 1 million of that customer in garment form, and 9 million we give them in fabric form. So filling orders for garment is not always, it is always possible. So we will not be the right company to understand the garment scenario in the country, honestly. Because for us it's a vertical integration, and if we are selling, lot of fabrics to a company, and we take some orders when they want us to do some orders in garment form, we do it. We don't chase them for garment orders, we chase them for fabrics, because that's our main business. So we are not the right company to look at, what happens to garment in the industry in the country. But we believe that with the China factor, India is getting a lot of orders. I think India across the board is filled with the orders for garments, which we see in our, orders that we get for fabrics from various garment factories. I think India is constrained by the capacity and the efficiencies that we have. Now that ROSTL has also been brought back, I think it's a great opportunity for Indian companies to grow garments.
Okay, so my last question is how to look at this company from a 3 to 5 year perspective, if garment is not the way going forward, and you were not looking at major investments in fabric as well?
No. I think what we are looking at is if you look at, we invested heavily in FY20 and also in 19, and then as we were ramping up, we could not, and the COVID hit us, and then 18 months we've not been operating at full utilization. So I think we have good, I would say leg room for us to grow by 8 to 10% for next 12, 18 months without any capex. Beyond that, we are selectively investing. We are not doing large capexes, but we are doing selective investments. In product categories where we believe we'll be able to maintain lead and maintain differentiation and pricing power. So we are investing in athleisure fabrics. We are investing in indigo knits. We have gone into knitted fabrics for indigo as a business where we almost reach 100% utilization in Q4. We are investing in polyester-based fabrics again, man-made fiber fabrics. And a very large focus is also on advanced materials. So we would, at appropriate time, talk about what is our next 3 years plan in that. In next 3-4 months, we'll possibly talk to all of you. But we have an ambitious plan for advanced material business. We would, after maybe a loss of 1 year or 1.5 years, we will reach hopefully 1,000 crore mark this year. And we want to rapidly grow at a much faster pace than what we've done in the past in this business. So we have good engines for growth but we want to maintain that discipline of a much higher, asset turnover ratio than typical textile business.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I was saying it's the last question, but athleisure fabrics, polyester-based fabrics, do you think they are, what kind of asset turnover these fabrics can give you as compared to normal woven fabrics?
So again, we are not investing in the entire value chain. As we are investing in the only the last mile or some processing or some weaving equipment somewhere. So we are looking at anything around 3 to 3.5 tons of asset for every incremental investment we do.
Okay, and margin profile and revenue share today in this in these new businesses?
It will not even worth talking because we've been investing and experimenting and perfecting these products for now almost. It took longer because of COVID, but almost 12 months. We are now at a level where we are confident that we can achieve our internal goals of certain margins and certain product differentiation. So now we will ramp it up as when the times get to normalcy. And today we don't believe we should take any risk because anything can go wrong in the coming 3 to 6 months.
Okay. So no further investment in garmenting for the time being is...
For this year, no.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. I'll come back to the question queue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Due to time constraints, we will take the last question from the line of Rishabh Jain from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good evening. So just one question on garmenting, which has remained... we have expanded quite rapidly, and but the ramp up we had this COVID issues and all. This quarter we did a 270 crores kind of top line, and you mentioned we can do 12 million pieces, which is almost doubling of what we have done in Q1. So with this kind of turnover of around 500 odd crores, what kind of margin garmenting business can do, let's say, going forward?
So, for us, we don't necessarily look at garmenting business and a margin of the garmenting because we have the concept of a four-wall vertical margin only, and we, as I was telling on context of some other question, is that we look at our customer level profitability, and we provide them, extra service in form of very complex, small garment orders as well, so long as overall customer is, giving us enough business and the profitability. So for us, independent garment margin is not the criteria to look at from internal perspective. So that is, I think, that whole thing about comparing our garment margin with another company's garment margin, possibly we don't look at it that way, and we would not recommend one who looks at it that way. For us, it is a four-wall that we look at. However, if I were to completely separate and see what could be the garment margin in our context, despite all the inefficiencies that we purposely let it be because we want to earn on our fabric business from a customer, it can still be in the range of 8 to 9% with the current ROSTL rates.
Understood. Understood, sir. Got it. Thank you. All the best, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Samir Agarwal for closing comments.
I think he may not be there. So thank you all for coming over for the quarter one conference. I look forward to meeting you all in the month of maybe end of October for Q2 results. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Arvind Limited, that concludes this conference call for today. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.